The invisible line that determines your entire life. There's an invisible line that runs through every interaction you have, every relationship you build, and every moment someone tests your boundaries. Cross it the wrong way, and you'll spend years wondering why people treat you like you don't matter. But master it, and you'll command respect without saying a word. The 5 deadly mistakes that destroy your power. Most people think they know how to handle disrespect, but they're making 5 critical mistakes that actually hand their power over to the very people who hurt them. These mistakes are so common, so automatic, that you might be making them right now without even realizing it. The silent test everyone is giving you. Every single person in your life is quietly testing you, watching how you respond when they push your boundaries, waiting to see if you'll stand firm or crumble. What they discover in those moments determines how they'll treat you for the rest of your relationship. And most people are failing this test spectacularly. There's a fine line between patience and self-betrayal, and most people don't even know when they've crossed it. When someone disrespects you, it's not just about what they did to you. It's about what you do next. How you respond in that crucial moment defines whether you hold your power or give it away completely. In this video, we're diving deep into the 5 things you should never do when someone disrespects you. Because your self-respect isn't something you can negotiate away. It's not a bargaining chip. It's not something you can afford to lose for the sake of keeping peace or avoiding confrontation. Your self-respect is your foundation, and without it, everything else in your life starts to crumble. Let's get into it. Mistake number 1. Fighting fire with fire. Why matching their energy destroys you. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to strike back immediately. It feels completely natural, doesn't it, to defend yourself with equal force, to return the insult, to match their negative energy with your own. Your pride is screaming at you to say something sharp, something that cuts as deeply as their words did. The urge to clap back feels almost irresistible. But this is where most people make their first critical mistake. When you lower yourself to their level, you aren't just responding, you're handing over your self-control. You're stepping into the same toxic space where they live, a place driven by ego, anger, and pettiness. You're essentially saying, your behavior is so powerful that it can control mine. Think about it. That moment of satisfaction you get from delivering the perfect comeback. It fades quickly, doesn't it? What stays with you much longer is the realization that you allowed someone else's behavior to dictate yours. You gave them the remote control to your emotions, your reactions, your entire energy. Holding your ground doesn't mean firing shots back at them. It means staying rooted in who you are, regardless of how they're acting. When you choose to rise above the situation, you're not being passive or weak. You're showing immense strength. It takes real power to walk away without needing the last word. It takes genuine courage to hold your tongue when your pride is begging you to speak. But that's exactly the point. Pride is loud, demanding, and desperate for attention. Self-respect, on the other hand, is quiet and unshakable. Pride needs to prove itself constantly. Self-respect simply exists, solid and unmovable. The more you engage in their game, the more you feed their need for attention, for dominance, for control over your emotional state. The real win isn't getting the last word. It's when you don't give them that satisfaction at all. There's an unmatched confidence in being unbothered. When someone tries to pull you into negativity and you don't flinch, you send a silent but powerful message. You can't touch me. You're showing them that their words don't carry weight in your world. You're telling them, without saying a single thing, that your energy is too expensive for their drama. And people notice that. They respect the person who stays calm under pressure. They respect the one who doesn't need to react to prove their worth. They respect the one who knows that silence can speak louder than any insult. This doesn't mean you allow disrespect to slide unchecked. It means you choose your response with purpose, not impulse. You can set boundaries firmly without losing your cool. You can protect your space without becoming hostile. The goal isn't to win the argument. The goal is to win your peace. Because every time you meet disrespect with more disrespect, you're telling yourself that your emotions are controlled by someone else. You're giving him the power to determine your mood, your day, your entire energy. Real strength is knowing you can respond but choosing when, or if, it's even worth it. Not every battle deserves your presence. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply rise above and keep moving forward. Mistake number 2, ignoring your own boundaries, the slow death of self-respect. When someone disrespects you, it's not just about that single moment. It's about what you're willing to tolerate, what you're willing to accept as normal treatment. Disrespect is rarely an accident. More often, it's a subtle test, a quiet push to see how far they can go with you. It's them asking, without words, what will you let me get away with? The moment you ignore your own boundaries, the moment you let something slide that you know crossed a line, you send a powerful message, not just to them, but to yourself. You're saying that you're willing to bend, to shrink, to accept less than you deserve, just to avoid confrontation or keep the peace. But here's the brutal truth. Keeping the peace at the expense of your self-worth is never actually peace. It's silent self-abandonment. It's choosing temporary comfort over long-term respect. You cannot afford to make yourself small for the comfort of others. Because every time you do, you teach people exactly how little they need to respect you. The minute you let one act of disrespect slide without addressing it, you open the door for more. Boundaries aren't just walls to keep people out. They're lines that define where you end and where someone else's unacceptable behavior begins. When someone crosses that line and you stay silent or brush it off, it's like erasing the line altogether. You may tell yourself, it's not a big deal, or I'll let it go this time, but those small moments stack up over time like drops of water that eventually carve through stone. The person learns exactly what you're willing to accept, and they will keep pushing until there's no boundary left at all. This is how people slowly chip away at your confidence, your comfort, and your sense of self. It doesn't happen in one dramatic explosion. It happens in 1,000 tiny cuts that you choose not to notice. 1,000 small compromises that you convince yourself don't matter. Holding your boundaries doesn't mean you have to be aggressive or loud about it. It simply means you have to be clear. You can say no without raising your voice. You can walk away without making a scene. You can choose your self-respect without offering a detailed explanation to anyone. People often think they have to fight every time they stand up for themselves. But the truth is that strength sometimes looks like calmly removing yourself from situations that no longer serve you. It's about letting your actions speak for you, showing people how to treat you by what you refuse to tolerate. We've already covered the first 3 critical mistakes that rob you of your power when facing disrespect. But the final 2 might be the most damaging of all, and they're the ones most people never see coming. Mistake number 4. Letting your emotions drive the car. Why impulse reactions destroy you. When someone disrespects you, your emotions can fire instantly, like a match striking gasoline. The sting of their words, the dismissive tone of their voice, or the weight of their actions can hit you like a physical blow. Your natural response might be to react on pure impulse. You might feel anger rise in your chest like a tidal wave. You might feel the overwhelming urge to lash out, to defend yourself without thinking, to say whatever comes to mind first. But here's the brutal truth. The moment you let your emotions take the wheel, you hand over complete control of the situation. You give them the power to dictate not just your mood, but your response, your behavior, and even how you see yourself in that moment. Emotional reactions often feel incredibly strong in the moment. They feel justified, righteous, even necessary, but more often than not, they leave you with nothing but regret and no real resolution to the problem. Think about it. Have you ever had a heated argument where you said exactly what you felt in the moment, only to wish later that you had handled it differently? The person who can disrespect you and get an explosive reaction from you, they win. They've managed to pull you out of your calm, out of your balance, out of your center, and now you're dancing to their rhythm. You're playing their game by their rules, and they're controlling the entire interaction. But when you hold your composure, when you can stay centered while someone else is trying to shake you to your core, that's real power. That's the kind of strength that actually changes situations instead of just escalating them. Emotional discipline is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending you don't feel hurt, angry, or frustrated. It's about choosing when and how to express those feelings. It's about understanding that not every situation deserves your raw, unfiltered reaction. Sometimes the strongest response is no immediate response at all. When you master your emotions, you make decisions based on wisdom rather than temporary feelings. You respond in a way that protects your energy and your peace. You aren't controlled by your first impulse. You're led by your awareness of the bigger picture, your understanding of what will actually serve you in the long run. Because here's what they don't want you to realize. Disrespect says far more about the other person than it does about you. If you let them pull you into emotional chaos, you allow him to control the narrative of the entire interaction. But when you stay calm, you remain the author of your own story. Being calm doesn't mean you are weak. It means you are grounded. It means you value your peace more than you value winning an argument. It means you refuse to let someone's bad behavior dictate the quality of your entire day. This kind of emotional self-control doesn't come easily, and it doesn't happen overnight. but it separates those who are truly strong from those who are simply loud. Strength is quiet, it is measured, it is steady, choosing to step back, to breathe, to think, and to respond with intention is not about letting anyone off the hook. It's about choosing yourself. It's about not allowing anyone to steal your peace. You can acknowledge what happened. You can address the disrespect, but you can do it from a place of power, not from a place of emotional chaos. And that is how you win without ever having to raise your voice. Mistake number 5. Staying silent when your voice matters most. When someone disrespects you, staying silent can feel like the easiest way out. Sometimes you might convince yourself that saying nothing will keep the peace or help you avoid unnecessary conflict. There are certainly moments when silence is powerful, when walking away is absolutely the best option available to you. But there are also times when silence sends completely the wrong message. When you allow disrespect to pass without speaking up, you can unintentionally teach people that it's acceptable to treat you that way, not because you deserve it, but because you didn't set the record straight. Silence in the wrong moment can be misunderstood as approval, as permission, as weakness, and when that happens, the cycle of disrespect doesn't stop, it repeats, often getting worse each time. You have to recognize when your voice matters, when speaking up is not just an option but a necessity for your own self-respect. There is real strength in calmly but firmly addressing what was said or done. Speaking up is not about being aggressive or starting a war. It's about standing your ground, showing that you recognize your worth, and making it crystal clear that certain behavior will not be tolerated. When you let people cross your boundaries unchecked, you risk losing parts of yourself. You chip away at your own confidence every single time you choose temporary comfort over self-respect. But when you speak up, you reaffirm your value, to yourself first, and to others second. Many people fear confrontation, but using your voice doesn't mean creating chaos. It means creating clarity. It means removing any confusion about what you will and will not accept in your life. Sometimes people genuinely don't realize they've crossed the line until you tell them. Other times, they know exactly what they're doing, and your silence only makes it easier for them to keep doing it. Either way, speaking up gives you back control. It's a signal that you are fully aware of your worth and you won't compromise it for the sake of temporary comfort or avoiding an uncomfortable conversation. It's important to remember that using your voice doesn't always mean explaining yourself in great detail. You don't owe long explanations or emotional speeches to anyone. A simple, direct statement is often more powerful than a lengthy justification. You can say, "That's not acceptable," or "I don't appreciate being spoken to like that." Your tone doesn't need to be loud for your words to carry weight. The key is to be honest, to be firm, and to be consistent. If you speak up once but stay silent the next time, people get mixed signals. Consistency teaches people how to treat you. It shows them that your boundaries aren't negotiable based on your mood or the circumstances. Protecting your space, your peace, and your dignity requires courage. It requires you to prioritize your self-respect even if it makes others uncomfortable. When you speak up when it matters, you send a clear message to the world. I will not shrink for anyone. I will not stand quietly in the face of disrespect. I will stand for myself. The final truth: don't carry their weight. When someone disrespects you, it's easy to carry that moment with you long after it's over. You might find yourself replaying their words in your head like a broken record, questioning what you should have said, or letting their behavior ruin your mood for the rest of the day. But when you carry disrespect with you, you give it life long after it should have died. You allow someone else's bad energy to linger in your mind, taking up space that should be reserved for your peace, your goals, and your growth. Holding on to disrespect is like walking around with a stone in your shoe. It keeps hurting you, not because it's powerful, but because you won't let it go. Carrying someone else's disrespect with you weighs you down in ways you may not even notice at first. It can make you more defensive, more guarded, and sometimes even more doubtful of yourself. The longer you hold on to that moment, the more you begin to internalize it, thinking maybe you deserved it, maybe you were wrong, maybe you should have acted differently. But the disrespect is not your burden. It is not your story to carry. What they said or did speaks about their character, not your worth. Letting go doesn't mean you excuse the behavior. It doesn't mean you pretend it never happened or that it didn't bother you. It simply means you refuse to give that moment more power than it deserves. You acknowledge it. You learn from it. You set boundaries if you need to, but you don't let it follow you around like a shadow. You don't let someone else's negativity dictate your energy, your thoughts, or your attitude moving forward. When you carry disrespect with you, you're reliving a moment that's already over. You're letting it take up mental space where your confidence should live. People who know their worth learn how to release what doesn't serve them. They don't replay old arguments or hold grudges that only poison their own peace. They process what happened, take the lesson, and then they move forward with clarity and strength. The power to drop that weight is in your hands. You can choose to focus on the things that build you, uplift you, and empower you, instead of dragging around the weight of someone's disrespect. You can't always control how people treat you, but you can always control what you carry with you after. Not everything deserves a permanent place in your mind. Some things are meant to be put down and left behind, and when you choose to release it, you free yourself to move forward without the chains of someone else's mistake. Your power is in your response. Disrespect is inevitable in life, but how you handle it defines your strength, your character, and ultimately, your happiness. Protect your peace like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. Stand firm in your worth, even when others can't see it, and never give your power away by reacting impulsively or carrying their negativity with you like baggage. Let your calm, your boundaries, and your self-respect speak louder than any disrespect ever could. When you master these principles, you become untouchable. Not because nothing can hurt you, but because you know exactly how to protect what matters most. If this video has opened your eyes to the ways you might be giving your power away, if you recognize yourself making these mistakes, or if you're ready to start commanding the respect you deserve, then you need to hit that subscribe button right now. Don't just watch this video and forget about it. Take action. Subscribe, Ring that notification bell and share this with someone who needs to hear these truths. Your support helps us reach more people who are tired of being disrespected and ready to reclaim their power. The journey to unshakable self-respect starts with a single decision. Make that decision today. Subscribe now, because your future self will thank you for it. When you ignore your own boundaries, you start living for other people's approval. You start measuring your worth by how much you can endure instead of how much you respect yourself. But you were not made to carry the weight of other people's disrespect. You were made to protect your peace, your dignity, your space. Every time you choose to honor your boundaries, you send a powerful message, not just to others, but to yourself, that you are worthy of respect, even if you have to give it to yourself first. And when you live like that, something beautiful happens. The people who don't respect you will naturally fall away. And the ones who do will rise to meet you at the level you've set. Mistake number 3, chasing their validation, the trap that steals your power. When someone disrespects you, it's easy to fall into one of the most dangerous traps of all, wanting to be seen, wanting to be understood, and desperately wanting them to recognize your worth. You might feel this overwhelming urge to chase their approval, to demand their apology, or to try to make them acknowledge that what they did was wrong. But this is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Seeking validation from someone who disrespected you is like looking for sunlight in the middle of the night. It's not coming. And the more you chase it, the more you hand over your power to someone who already showed you they don't value it. Think about what you're really doing when you chase their validation. You're essentially saying, your opinion of me matters more than my opinion of myself. Your approval is more important than my own self-respect. I need you to tell me I'm worthy before I can believe it myself. The truth is, not everyone will see your worth. Some people are too wrapped up in their own ego, their own insecurities, or their own need for control to ever offer you the respect you deserve. That has absolutely nothing to do with your value and everything to do with their limitations. When you tie your self-esteem to their recognition, you're building your confidence on shaky ground. You spend your precious energy trying to prove something that never needed proving in the first place. Your worth isn't up for debate. It isn't something to be argued over or negotiated. It simply is. You don't need their apology to move on with your life. You don't need their validation to feel strong. Waiting for someone else to validate you is like sitting in a locked room, holding the key in your hand, but still waiting for someone else to come and open the door for you. You already have the power to free yourself. The moment you realize you don't need their recognition is the moment you take your power back completely. Their inability to respect you doesn't shrink your value. It only reveals their lack of character. People who know their worth don't beg to be seen. They don't chase after people who've already shown them disrespect, hoping for crumbs of validation. Instead, they understand that the right people will see their value without being convinced. The right people will offer respect freely, not because they were forced to, but because they recognize quality when they see it. Now that you understand these first 3 critical mistakes that most people make when faced with disrespect, you're probably starting to see some patterns in your own life. Maybe you're recognizing times when you've fallen into these traps yourself. But understanding the problem is only the first step. In the next part, we need to talk about the remaining 2 mistakes that can completely undermine your self-respect. And more importantly, what you should do instead to maintain your power and dignity in any situation.